So firstly, welcome to the Helix webinar series. Today's session is on new on-prem containerized platform support policy. The presentation is going to take roughly 30 minutes. It's a live presentation from our Director of Product Management, Raquel, who will give herself a formal introduction shortly. So just a couple of reminders before we get started. We have the Q&A section of Zoom and panelists that can answer your questions during the session, but we will also have the opportunity for around roughly 20 minutes or so at the end for any live questions that you may have for the team. So without further ado, Raquel, I'm going to hand over to you for the introduction and to get us started.
Thank you. So hello, everyone, and thank you for joining. My name is Raquel, and I'm leading the Helix platform team for DSOM containerized products and the on-prem deployments. And we're going to talk today about the new support policy we have, why we did this change in our support policy, and how we will support you while transitioning and going over to the containerized system and things that needs to be adjusted accordingly when using it. So before we start, I want to make sure that we are in an understanding. This presentation includes some roadmap items and future planned release dates. So therefore, I'm obliged to put the slide on and ask you not to make any purchase decisions based on information brought in this presentation, because dates might change and contents might change from our release cycle. And I will be conveying the message of our current plans and those subject to change at any time. And with no further ado, let's deep dive into the rationale of why we are doing this change and what it entails. Okay, so the first thing that I must say is that we should be able to support our customers to the best way possible. And since our platform is built on top of Kubernetes platform, and Kubernetes itself has a very short life cycle of only 12 months of full support and 2 months of maintenance support, there's actually not much of a choice here, because if you would stay with a longer period of time to support our customers, at any case, and after 14 months of time from releasing of a new Kubernetes version, it will go out of support. They issue a release every 4 months, and orchestration systems that are built and run on top of that Kubernetes platform may provide you with a longer term of support. But even those in the cloud hyperscalers or by using a third-party orchestration system would not last, for the most part, more than 2 years after the OpenShift release date. So in any case, we have to adjust BMC support policy to not leave you out of support by staying on an unupdated underlying platform. So one of the incentives, the biggest incentives in that move, is the part where Helix itself is a portable platform, which is 95% identical in wherever it's installed, right? You could deploy it in a managed stack on one of the hyperscalers. You could deploy it on bare metal in your Kubernetes cluster, or you could go SaaS with BMC. And 95 of our images and functionality would be there and be the same, exact same functionality as in SaaS. But we have 5% that rely to the fact that in an on-prem deployment or cloud deployment in your own private cloud, we have to support you deploying our system. So there are some images like the data lake components that would be containerized and a bit different from our SaaS deployment in-house. SaaS releases go out every 1 or 2 months in a regular cadence, and we deploy that to our data centers in BMC, where we support our SaaS customers. So we want to be able to provide that faster cadence of innovation also for our on-prem customers, and adhere to that SaaS release cadence as much as we can. We realize that's not as easy as it is in SaaS, and it might also include some changes in functionality that are harder to digest by our customers. So we try to keep that in cycle with SaaS, but a bit faster than what we used to do in old days, and keep the cadence as closer as we can to the SaaS releases. And it's important to say, because the SaaS releases come out every month, and it's, for the most part, it might be a major release or it might be a patch release. Even in patch releases, we sometimes introduce new functionality. The fact is that we try to not break things and allow you to adjust gracefully to new functionality that we introduce with our releases in SaaS and on-prem. But still, in some cases, patch releases may include those changes. For patch releases, we also apply the same cycles of security and quality as we do in a full-blown release. So sometimes if you see an on-prem release which is numbered like a patch, it doesn't matter. We treat that as a full-blown release in terms of the quality and security vulnerability fixing, and we make sure it is ready to ship with the utmost level of quality and security available. So one of the major concerns from our customers when it comes to a shorter release lifecycle is the upgrade part, right? You are required to upgrade much faster than before. And I've had service management customers who were upgrading their systems once in 4 or 5 years, and certainly not every year. So to address that, I wanted to make sure that you understand that with the new Kubernetes platform technologies, we can support you in a much faster and easier cadence of upgrades. So every release we take out supports you with upgrading, and after you've onboarded Helix, which was or is the hardest part when you need to migrate data from the old architecture to the new architecture, then upgrading on top of that platform would be much faster and easier, right? So when you upgrade to Helix, at least in service management, we converge the databases of several products into one converged platform database. And then after that, when you need to upgrade, there's only one database you need to upgrade. The upgrade method supported by Kubernetes, and we provide to you as a zero downtime upgrade, which requires very low or minimal downtime, if at all. Sometimes you can do that without no downtime, depends how big is the change on the platform side. And then you will have a single Kubernetes stack, not several products that you need to update different VMs and upgrade those one by one and coordinate the upgrades and the downtimes between those different VMs. There's only one stack, only one upgrade process that you can plan, test, and execute overnight. The release cadence, which is faster, will also introduce smaller release changes. Because if you release every 3 months or every 6 months, compared to every 4 or 5 years upgrade that you used to have before, the amount of changes you need to digest is far smaller than before. And so you can work on testing those in a shorter cycle from your end and digest that and train your people in a shorter cycle. So the entire process should be faster and shorter than a 4 or 5 years upgrade like before. And the important part, at least for service management customers, is that there's a major concern around the reconciliation of customizations that you've made to your applications. So again, once you upgraded and onboarded Helix from your pre-containerized systems, you've made at least 80% of the effort for moving all these customizations over, reconciling them, and preparing them to become Helix. And then an upgrade after that would take much less time and much less effort, because most of these would already be adjusted and ready for the upgrade. and will not break anything. And even if you have a reconciliation work to do, it would be much smaller compared to onboarding Helix. And we also have an auto reconciliation tool and reports to allow you to do that automatically, and the leftovers to be exactly aware of what you need to do manually. So again, the planning process and the execution should take far less time. And backing it up with some data, we have seen customers already upgrade their stack after being onboarding on Helix, and they've upgraded to a more recent release. And we've seen that it's taken them no longer than a month or so. So that data is coming from our previous release, 22.1. Now we have already released in ITSM 23.301. And hopefully by the end of today, I'll be happy to announce that we'll be releasing ITOM 24.2 as well. So these upgrades should be far easier and faster. Most of the time that our customers were experiencing in terms of planning and executing the upgrade was invested in their own testing and training processes. So take that into account. Indeed, you can trial that and test that in your dev and QA stacks before you go production. But all in all, that's an on-top upgrade that should be faster. So I'm hoping that would allow you to reduce the concern around the upgrades and the faster cadence of adopting Helix versions. So how will we support you while we're doing this change, and how we will help you to adjust? So like the first slide where we said Kubernetes has a shorter lifecycle, BMC has adjusted the support policy to 18 months of support, 12 months of active or full support, and 6 months of additional maintenance support for every release that comes out. And we release now every 6 months or less. So ITOM has a cadence of every 3 months. We take the SaaS release, which is most secured and stable for each quarterly release, and wrap it up with our installers for on-prem and ship it to you. And the same goes for service management, but that takes a bit longer. So right now we're trying to maintain a 4 to 5 months cadence. And I believe during calendar year 25, we will do the same. We still don't have the plan, but that is at least the intent. And we want to be able to support the latest and greatest Kubernetes versions and OpenShift versions and other orchestration systems that enable you to deploy your stacks. So we will support at least one Kubernetes version that is still under support by the Kubernetes itself. And we will include at least 3, but usually more versions of Kubernetes supported and tested and certified for each of our releases, so that when you need to upgrade, you will have the ability to move over to not just the next Kubernetes, but maybe the latest or as close to the latest as possible, so that change will not affect you as much when you upgrade other applications on top of your cluster, or you are able to keep up to date with the updates, because in some of our customer environments, we see the demand from IT to upgrade their clusters in a regular cadence. And so BMC has to be able to support you while doing so and maintaining the same version of Helix. Okay, and in terms of upgrades, we want to be able to let you do the upgrade directly from the version you are on right now. So speaking about an upgrade every 6 months to 1 year, we consider the option to jump over not one version, but 2 versions. So we will always support a direct upgrade from N-2 to the current version. So for an example, if I just released 24.2, it will allow you to jump over from 23.4, which was the last version last year. And since then we released 24.1, and now we're releasing 24.2. But if you're still on an older version, no worries, you can do that. You can just upgrade in 2 hops for moving over to the latest and greatest, right? So for item customers, that means like a cadence of every 6 months without 2 hops. And for service management, the best would be to jump over every up to 10 months or 8 months, depending on the cycle we release those releases. And worst come to worst, if you need to upgrade every 1 year, then you will do it through the 2 hops cycle. Another thing that we're committing to do is to support the N+1, the N-1 release with full support until we have released N+1. So that would allow you to do that direct upgrade from not the last release, but the N-1 release to the N+1 release without losing full support while doing so. And if necessary, and there are any delays in releases, and we are having that option to extend the full support to all our customers in order to support you with that. And we did already extend our support since we are in the process of many customers onboarding the platform right now. And there are customers who started this process earlier before we announced this change in policy. So we have decided to extend service management and operations management existing supported versions a bit longer to allow customers to that are onboarding the platform right now and are aiming for those versions to stay on that version once onboarded Helix a bit longer before they have to upgrade again. And so we've extended 21.306 from the service management side of the house to 24 months of support, and 22.106, which is the most adopted version we have right now, into 26 months of support, 14 months of full support, and 12 months of additional limited support. And there's also another rationale to that is to support long-term support of our underlying platforms, like OpenShift has a long-term support we have for 22.106. I'll show that in a minute. And in ITOM, we did a similar exercise where we bounced up the numbers for 22.4, which is 24 months, and as it's shown here, right? So we have extended those versions to allow customers to adjust and go onto Helix and then move over to the next releases in a way they can plan it and address it properly. So it's important, again, to make sure that everyone understands. When we started this journey with on-prem and SaaS, I've heard a lot from customers complaining about the on-prem not being that focused, and BMC is all SaaS, and we're not getting the right answer for what we need, and so on and so forth. I believe that in the last 18 months, we were able to prove that this is not true. And furthermore, we have a lot of focus invested in on-prem, and we are treating it as a first-class citizen, and we are developing everything with both SaaS and on-prem in mind. So like I said earlier, 95% of the code itself and the functionality is identical. But whenever we have to address the different deployment methodologies, we do that along with supporting you, our customers, when need to move between those platforms. This is one of the main benefits of Helix platform that allows you to be portable and move between hyperscalers, between on-prem and SaaS, and vice versa, right? We continue all along developing our tools and our documentation to make it easier and new to deploy, to upgrade, and to maintain your stacks with Helix. We deliver new services. We have webinars like these, presentations, and everything that we can. I encourage you to connect with me and deliver any feedback that you may have on anything that you lack or you're missing or you want to have. Submit ideas into community and let us know what you would like us to do for you to help you to deploy and run your Helix on top of Kubernetes or OpenShift or any other cluster you choose that is compatible with Helix, that is working for you. And we are constantly looking for opportunities to improve on that. We maintain high level of quality and security. Like I mentioned before, we have internal policies where we scan our images with every code submit and with every build that we do internally, and we automatically open defects for our R&D teams to fix every security vulnerability. Obviously, we are using internal tools that may differ from customer tools for scanning. So we're constantly watching that and working with our customers to make sure that we address any concern around vulnerabilities, security fixes. And in addition, we are working very hard to deliver stable and high quality releases to on-prem and let you guys utilize the full functionality of our system without having any trouble or issues with it. Nevertheless, I mean, there's always some points of failures that might happen. So again, I encourage you to work with our support teams, with our SEAL team, to get any such disturbances fixed as soon as possible, as soon as you can. The main message I want to convey here is that on-prem is important to us. It will keep being important to us. It's going to be a major part of our offerings in the coming years, and we are keeping it stable and secure as much as we can. Okay, I want to talk about this extension of support we did for 22106 to alleviate some of the concerns our customers have expressed when they first learned about this change in support policy. So we, like I said before, we wanted to allow our customers to onboard Helix safely and not feel that, you know, the ground is dropping under their feet because we push them to upgrade. So at first we extended the 22106 support altogether, and then we extended the limited support. And what we looked at also was the cycle of the underlying Kubernetes version. So the version that 22106 supports today is Kubernetes 128 and OpenShift 414. Both were added post-GA, by the way. We sometimes certify the systems on top of new Kubernetes versions that come out after we've released our platform, and we want to make it easier for our customers if they want or need to go to the latest Kubernetes version. So we certify our versions to go with the latest Kubernetes and OpenShift versions and make sure it's working. And if any fixes required, we add those fixes as hot fixes. So by extending 22106, we made it supportable almost as the same as 23301, which is a consecutive version. And we made sure that the underlying Kubernetes and OpenShift versions dates of end of support are also aligned as shown in this slide. This is the release cycle, and like I said before, it might change along the way, but this is the release cycle we are planning to release for service management. So we have released 23301 in March, and we are planning to have a couple more releases this calendar year, one in August and one in December, adding new functionalities, new technology support, new security features, and more to our stack, along with all the functionality and features you get from the SaaS side of the house or from Helix products where they add new capabilities to the platform. And the support dates are aligned as we've seen before. So we've extended 21306 and we've extended 22106. And that way you can safely move between those versions and hop over from 22106 directly to 2303 when it comes out. This is the current table of support dates. It also appears in our support pages in the internet. So if you go to Helix end of support dates page, A to Z product page, and look it up, any of the ITSM products part of the ITSM suite, you will find those dates up in the table, and it allows you to see the last date of support, full support, and end of support for those versions. And this is the cycle for operations management. So every release comes out every 3 months or so. We adjusted a bit to go with the OO release of the SaaS versions that are being GA'd. So this is the most stable one for each of the cycles that the SaaS team is working on. So we wanted to have the most stable and secure version of that release. So we adjusted to the OO and released 23.4 in November 23 and 24.1 in February. And now we are today releasing 24.2.0 for the ITOM and for ITSM, wherever you need to upgrade your platform. And I'm glad to say that we've also added support of Kubernetes 129 and OpenShift 4.15 for both 24.2 and 23.3.01. We will publish that shortly in our documentation. Okay, and the release cycles for those versions as seen in the picture. So the older versions were extended a bit, 23.1.02 and 22.4, to allow customers to move over to the new releases gracefully. And later on, the releases will adhere to the 18 months cadence of support, 12 months full support, and then 6 additional months of limited support. And again, the table looks like that, and you will see it in the support pages by BMC in the web for each version that come out or already there. And I think by that, I've completed my 30 minutes of presentation. So I think it's time to go over to questions if there are any.
Thank you. We don't actually have any questions at the moment. We did have a couple. So I just want to give the opportunity for the attendees. If you do have any questions, we have Raquel and the panelists that can help you with those. So let me just go and start unmuting everyone. Raquel, is there anything else that you wanted to share, other things that are coming up? I know we've been talking about doing a lot more collaboration together. So I don't know if there's anything that you want to share just additional to what you've shared today, because you're creating a lot of content in the team at the moment.
With regards to the support policy, not much else to say. I think I covered it. I can talk about functionality of the products on-prem if there's interest in that.
Okay, so if anyone's got any questions, we do actually have one that's in the questions for answering for live. I'm just going to put it back from unanswered. I think by accident it went into a live one. So Yaron had a question. It was, what is the process for the customer needs to go through an upgrade on? I don't know if you want to answer that or someone on the panel. This was from Yaron.
I can answer that.
Yes, please, Karen.
From a high level point, it depends on what version you're upgrading to and from. So if you're already on a container release, then you'll either do an update for patches or an upgrade from one version to another. If you are coming from a lower version into containers, the process there is a little bit more complicated. You'll have to do what we call a staged upgrade into the container setup. So you'll go from your current version using, you set up a brand new version and then the brand new container version, and then you migrate your data using HDM. That's as high level as I can go, and unless you want more detail.
Yaron, there is the option to be able to talk, so I don't know if that's answered your question. Do you want to maybe elaborate if there's anything further?
Yeah, actually, the question is, let's say that I've already upgraded to the containerized version, and now I want to move from one deployment or one version of the containerized deployment to a higher version that just came out.
Then you're just going to upload the new Helm charts, and then update your Jenkins with the new version and run your pipeline. That's as high level as, yeah. I mean, probably more technical.
Yeah, there may also be an update of the Helix platform required.
Correct.
Depending on what you're doing. So, and there is, again, varies by version, but some of the steps that we've got with the Helix platform have a migration stage where we, for example, for Elasticsearch and Postgres, depending what you're going from and to. So first of all, you upgrade the platform, and then you use Jenkins with the updated repositories to upgrade Helix IS.
Right.
And the upgrade of the platform is not just exactly what was mentioned before. I mean, it's not just updating the hardware repository and running the new Helm charts and the Jenkins process.
Yeah.
It's something different.
Yeah. It's like I said, it depends on which version, like Mark says, depends on which version you're going to. If you're staying on if you're going from 21.3 to 22, but if you're going from 22 to 23 and doing the platform at the same time, you'll need to do extra steps.
Okay.
Like I said, we release sometimes some underlying platform upgrades, so that may require additional steps.
I fully understand. Okay, most probably I would have questions, but I would take them offline with you, Racheli, and the team. Thank you.
Thank you, Yaron. Thanks for your question. We also had another question. I'm not sure who this is from because the attendee name isn't there, but it just says, will Atrium integrators start including the latest Spoon versions?
I'm less familiar with Atrium, apologies. I can find out with proper PM and see what the plans are there.
Okay, thanks. Okay.
If the person asking the question just want to drop a name or an email, I will make sure I can get back to that information once Racheli gets that.
Thanks, Kyron. Okay, I think the other question had already been answered by Mark, so there isn't anything else further in the chat. So I just open it back up to the floor again. If there's anyone on here that's got questions, either raise your hand or you can put the question into the Q&A. If we don't have anything further, then we can close the call earlier.
I do want to say something, guys. If anybody on the call is wanting to upgrade, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'll help where I can.
Thank you, Karen. I know we have actually got a session as well happening next week, which I'm running. There's two actually. One is in APAC and the other is in US EMEA hours. So it'll be US morning. We're also, because there's some customers that are still considering if they want to move from on-prem to SaaS, we're running these two sessions, which is going to be coordinated with development and actually the SIL team, which is where Mark also works. We're going to be running those with services, just talking about how it can be made simple, what that can look like, and also just recommendations about working with partners or with BMC services, and just giving you a walkthrough of what to expect. Plus, we'll also be sharing some customer success stories. This would be a really good opportunity for customers that are also still thinking about migrating. That's on Tuesday, the 14th.
Right. And I would like to say that anyone who wants to connect to us can connect through me. I'll connect you to Karen or to anyone else in the team which is available to help. We'll post the email in the answers to the questions. And I'm sending timely proactive notifications. If you wanted to receive those, you need to register in our support site to receive on-prem products notifications. And we will send you timely notifications on new versions coming out, additional changes or updates to what we do here, and let you be informed on new things coming up.